What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Before I start this very, very important video, which I recommend watching to the end because I give you full details on what you should do, I want to remind everybody today, before reset, is the last day for the content creator program, guys, for this season. If you did not already join, hit that support button, get in. If you are already joined, go extend or you will miss the next upcoming code plus any future codes. You will have to actually re-support again, which means you will lose your rank plus everything else in between. So guys, don't forget to do this. This is so important for me and important for you as well to continue growing on your account and getting yourself some free codes. Now, without further ado, this is a big video, so check it out. What's going on, ladies and gents? Welcome back to another solo leveling Arise video. All right, folks, let's talk about it. Finally got the formula down. We got the formula down to what's the best way to gain power, no matter who you are, whether you are a free-to-play player, a dolphin, or a whale. Now, I'm going to make this video after experiencing 5 free-to-play accounts, 1 dolphin account, and 1 whale account. And everything that I'm going to discuss with you guys is going to be pretty much tested thoroughly on the most successful accounts I've had and how those accounts have been successful. Now, this is my free-to-play account, my pay-to-win account. You guys know already. I've spent, I'm not going to lie to you guys, $15,000 to $20,000 on that account. It is what it is. I'm a content creator. I make that money back. It's easy for me, right? In that regard. So I don't recommend doing that ever to anybody, but I mean, if you can, if you want to afford it and you're able to do it and that you have the expendable income, go for it. Sky's the limit. Sky's the limit, okay, in terms of that. So I'm not really going to focus too much on the pay-to-win side, but I will focus on things that will make pay-to-win even stronger in where you want to put your efforts on, okay? So most of this is going to be helping newer players, especially newer players, some mid-tier players, and especially some smaller dolphins, okay? Because smaller dolphins especially are going to be the ones spending a little bit of money. Whales, I'll talk to you all the way through as well, but you guys already know how the formula works. More money you put down, the more packages you buy, the better it is. But there is also the importance of resource management, and this is what we're going to discuss. Now, new players, I want to make this absolutely clear. Your number 1 enemy in the game is not time. That's number 2 enemy. It's not banning. That's number 3 enemy. Your biggest enemy in this game is going to be your battle power. Your battle power. Now, this is my free-to-play account. Okay, I just recently hit 1.750 by opening up my Armory and getting the newest Armory slot unlocked and then pushing it to level 4. It cost me 700 of my level 1 marks to convert to level 2 marks, and I had enough then to push this to level 4, okay? It's very expensive, but this portion of the video matters, okay? A lot of this is going to matter. Now, what is the most important aspect of the game? Combat power. I already mentioned it, right? TP, CP, BP, battle power, whatever you want to call it, right? That's the most important thing. So that is where your most of your focus is going to lie. Try to get above the recommended power in the game. Now, you guys can see Workshop or Brilliant Light, for example, right? I'm just going to jump onto this one. We'll go to hard mode. Now, this here is, I'm going to do the 2 of them. I was going to walk you through this. Now, this is the power currently for this mode. Okay, we're going to back out for a second. You guys can see it goes 1.25 or 1.25 million to 1.3 million. Now, if you go all the way up to the executioner section, that's actually not true, right? Because I have proof of the strong on. That's why it looks like that. There you guys go, 1.3. So you can safely assume that Yogamont is most likely from easy to normal, right? You guys can see the transition difference, 5.8. 900, so that's a 400k difference, right? And then a 400k difference, almost a 400k difference there. So you can imagine that Yogamont, when he comes out for easy mode, is probably going to be roughly starting at 900, going to 1.2, and then hard mode most likely will be about 1.6 to 1.8. My assumptions right there, okay? So you're not going to be able to beat that unless you are competing and getting that proper level. Now, if you don't get that proper level for new players, the way it works is if you are below the recommended amount, right, which is in red, all your stats are diminished roughly by 30%, and the higher you get closer to the white, it gets up and up and up, and then when you finally hit that recommended, you're at 100%, and then when you go in the blue, you're actually doing more damage, okay? Just so that you guys understand how that works. So your power really comes from here. Now, of course, the obvious stuff is going to be simple. Duping your characters, getting their weapons up, etc. Now, this is my free-to-play account. Yes, absolutely. I've been playing since day one global. You talk to anyone who's been a free-to-play account player who's actually managed their resources and had a little bit of luck, their accounts are going to look either the same or better than mine, right? And you guys can see I do have a lot of A0s. Like, look, for example, I have A0 here, A0 here, A0 here, A0 here, A2 here, A0 here. So, I mean, I do have characters characters that are in the A0s, the A2s, the A3s that I just haven't been pulling for and not had the greatest luck on, right? Kanai being a prime example of that, and not getting a card today was a bad one. But getting dupes, of course, is important. But that's not the be-all, end-all, okay? Getting the weapons dupes is important, but again, not the be-all, end-all. The fastest form of getting power, for everybody who's going to be a new player to a veteran player to a middle player is going to be focusing on 3 different things. And this is going to be very important, guys, okay? First off, the Armory. The Armory, I alluded to it earlier, and I mean it. This is important. So just so everyone is aware how the Armory works, it takes your best, highest leveled weapons, and it gives you a slot in here, and that allows you to then get yourself some power. You can see the Armory alone gives 184,000 power for me, right? That's where I'm at. Now, I don't have a lot of level 7s. I have some of them. So where there's a 777, 555, 5555, 77, 5555, etc., right? It automatically places the highest level weapon with the highest level dupes. Now, the dupes, I believe, stop at A5. It doesn't matter after A5. The power doesn't increase at that point, right? So it's important to note that you don't want to salvage your SJW event weapons. You don't want to salvage any of your SJW weapons, because when you unlock a slot here, it will actually give you more combat power. Very important to remember that. So even if you don't use the weapon, it is going to sit, for example, right here. Never use this, barely ever use that, never use this, etc. Right? But you can see here, they do take up a slot. The last thing you want is to get rid of your SSRs, and then an SR takes a slot here, because what happens when an SR takes a slot? Well, you don't get the same level of power with an SR as you would an SSR. Okay, and how do you know that? You can click where is this? I think it's here, total power section. You can see SRs give you only 30%, right? But then look at the climb from 49 to 52, 68 to 73, etc., etc., etc. So it does give you more if you start leveling up the SSRs, and every bit of power will count. All right, so guys, important. Armory. Now, question I'm always going to get. Payne, should I use Essence Stones to unlock Armory or Mark of Times? I'm going to be honest with you guys. If you're a new player, my suggestion has always been, after Essence Stones became something that we get a lot of, is unlock using Essence Stones first, and then after that you can unlock using the Mark of Times from page, I'd say 2, almost at the end of 2 and onwards, right here and then onwards. Because the reason why I say this is it becomes very expensive from an Essence Stone perspective. In the beginning, it's fairly cheap, and you want to have your Mark of Times to actually level up your weapons to get more power out of it. But then eventually, it just becomes way, way too unmanageable. Like this would have cost me almost 7k Essence Stones to unlock, so I definitely have to use my resources. But as a new player, Essence Stones for the first page for sure. Save your Mark of Times, level up your weapons, get that power. It will. You can watch any content creator who creates a new account. That's most likely how they're managing it. I've done it 1,000 times. And as I've learned my mistakes, that was one of the mistakes I made in the beginning, was using my Mark of Times to unlock. Now, what happens if you have enough Mark of Times and you can't use your Essence Stones? Well, simply just craft a Mark of Times 2, go below the amount, it'll instantly ask you to use Essence Stones, and that's my recommendation for that one, okay? This one's straightforward. Now, the one that matters even more, this is the one that's going to be killer for everybody. There's 3 of them, right? Look at the Shadow Army. It's almost 3 times the amount of power of my Armory. 406, 389. This is important, more important probably than anything else you're going to get from a combat power perspective. Nothing beats Shadow Army. This is insane. Now, the reason this is important is a couple things you want to manage here, and I'm going to walk you guys through this. First off, your traces of shadows, okay? You don't want to focus on getting everybody up to general right away, or 1 unit up to general right away. You want to actually unlock as many of your units as you can. The more units you unlock, or the more shadows you unlock, the more your Shadow Army grows. They are caps. There are caps. I'm 116 on mine, right? Oopsie, sorry guys, moved the whole screen there. To move my camera. There's 116 on mine. In order for me to raise this, I need to then get more of my shadows unlocked, or I need to also push my shadows over to a new rank. You guys can see the next rank requires 250 there, right? 250 here, etc., right? So now for me personally as a player, all my focus is going to get my traces of shadows. Do not unlock weapons before you unlock shadows, okay? Now, once you start unlocking shadows and you start building up your shadows, your army level is going to be what you want to focus on next. When you unlock a shadow, when you raise a shadow's promotion, it doesn't give you power. It just gives you more army level abilities, which and then in turn, you're going to need this item here in order to get more power. It's called your Shadow Energy. You're going to need that. So for any time you want to get more power through your shadows, you have to promote them first and then use your Shadow Energy, and then you'll gain more power. Also, another really big one here, that's the rank up, right, is the promotion itself here, the growth. This here will instantly give you power. These are so, so important, guys. So make sure, what I personally do is I try to use as many of them as I can to just level up as many of the lower ones first and then move my way up. Again, it's all about TP. It's all about combat power, right, at the end of the day. So that's what I'm personally doing. I wish I did that from the start instead of going Igris all the way through. I should have just done one, like just done all to purples, and then from purples went over to yellows, and then all yellows went over to reds. That should have been my strategy. Unfortunately, was a little bit gun-ho here and did this first, and then did this next. I should have done it all one at a time, okay? So that's important. I would personally for me, I would go down the list, okay, and do it that way. Now, skills is another very important one. Skills, one at a time again. All level 2s, move on to the next shadow, all level 2s, move on to the next shadow, all level 2s. The shadow army itself, the skills do not impact enough to make a difference until level 7. All right. Once you start getting down this list, you're going to notice eventually you're going to hit a little cap, right? You guys can see here, I unlocked this one, so I can push this to level 4, 5, right? Or let's just even go to 4 here for now, because I don't have enough. But once you get to level 6, right, or to move it to level 6, you're going to need to unlock the unit to Elite Knight in order for you to even go any further. So this is another reason why it's important to make sure you rank up your shadows accordingly and don't just go straight to general. The more you can level up a shadow, the more you're going to be able to level up the skills, which in turn, like you guys can see what I just did there, I got that power up, right? And you'll see now it will reflect in my BP right away. I was 150, now I'm 1751. Right? That gave me 1,000 right there, or so close to it, right? So this is the importance, guys, of doing this correctly. It will help you transcend your account even further. Now, once you've done doing all that and you've unlocked general status for your shadows, then you can start doing armaments, and then you can start using your traces of shadows to actually convert to these abyssal, or what are they called, shadow echoes, and then using your crystals then to level up your actual, right here, these crystals here, the abyssal crystals, to level up your weapons. Now, I'm going to recommend this yet again, one at a time. See the mistakes I've been making. This is not good. I could have got, so it's 3,100, I believe, extra battle power for every weapon level or every weapon unlocked. I should have not done this. This was overzealous. It was a waste. I should have just taken this instead and put this towards smaller level ones and gotten those up instead. But again, I'm learning from my own mistakes and I'm trying to teach you guys as well. So this is huge. Now, the last thing I'm going to mention, I think that's all you really need to know. That's how it works. Make sure you do it right. The last thing you need to know is remnant power. Yes, this is 43k. I have not even completed it yet. I believe total it gives you 50k. So yes, should you do Baron first or should you do Deimos? Now here's what I'm going to say. If you're at around 40k, at the 40k mark, right around even 41k, I'd say you're okay to stop here and then move on to Deimos to break your cores, right? Because you want to get level 15 cores. They do give a lot of power, but you also want to wait for Yogamont, because when you've maxed out Yogamont, you can use extra Yogamont fragments to go back and finish Baron. Baron does make a big, big difference. Here, let me just show you guys an easy example of how much this matters, okay? So let's just go to, I don't know, let's go to player. I'll do this right here, right? Let's just go to, I don't know, how can I do this? Let's go edit preset. Okay, you guys can see here, SJW on his own, 362,382. This is including the armor that I have on. Let's just put the proper armor on. So 4818. Let's put the blessing stones on here and some ultimates. You guys can see what the power at the end of the day looks like. Okay, here, watch. Let's go with, I don't know, magnifying slashes. This will obviously not give us any power. I don't think it does, actually. I think that stays the same. It's the blessing stones that give you more power. You guys can see all these here. I'm just going to put all my legendaries on. You guys will see the power difference with and without shadows and why it's such a big difference. So I'll put all my legendaries so you guys can see the maximum level of power. Again, I'm just building this to show you guys an example, okay? So look, even without hunters, let's just see how much all of this extra stuff gives you. Okay? Cores, I'll leave the cores on. Okay, so 456, 842. Now, start adding your shadows. Doesn't matter what shadows you add. You can put the lowest shadows, the highest shadow, doesn't matter. Almost doubled in power, right? Put on the remnant, and I'm already at 906 by itself. By itself. That's some of an impact they make. Now, let's just add a shadow in here. Now, actually, you know what? Take the shadows out for a sec. Let's take the shadows out, and I'll show you guys what I'm talking about here. Let's go here. And let's go remove, and we'll remove this. So 906, right? That was my team. Let's disband this. So let's just start putting some hunters in. 1057. It's not that much of a difference. It's almost about 100K difference between having your shadows that are almost maxed out, or your units that are almost maxed out, versus having this. Now, obviously, I didn't put on weapons. If I put on weapons, don't worry about that. It would have evened out either way, because obviously it would affect both the hunters and the shadows. But I just wanted to show you guys the importance of this. Now, what is the purpose of all this? This is important. What is the purpose of all this? I want you guys to understand, as free-to-play players of Dolphins, after doing it myself and seeing the impact, everyone should at least, at the very least, buy 1 or 2 purchases of keys every single day. Yep. The reason why is because it will, number one, give you resources for leveling up, weapons, more EXP, etc. It'll give you guys more reputation, but more importantly, it gives you guys more of the Mark of Times. It gives you guys more Army of Shadows material, and which will, at the end of the day, boost your account. I've seen free-to-play players who have done this correctly and are at 506,000, so 100K more than I have. I've seen some free-to-play players at 2 million because they've done this, and I wish I knew this earlier. Being a content creator, it's a lot more difficult because I'm always testing stuff and doing things differently, and I have to kind of save things for summons, etc., for videos. But as a player who's new, or someone who wants to make a big impact in this game, this is going to be where it's going to matter the most. So focus on it. All right, folks, thank you so much for watching. Appreciate you. I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care.